Hey everyone, I'm Belle Reid and welcome back to another video. So a few months ago, I shared a video on social media of a glitchy vocal sampler patch that I made. And since sharing it, I have gotten so many DMs and questions from folks about how the patch was made and how it works. So I wanted to make a video today to walk you through it. So in this video, I'll share the tools that I was using to create that original patch, and I'll walk you step by step through the entire patching process. I'll also mention that you can get this exact patch as a download by joining my modular monthly series, which I send out a new VCV Rack patch to your email every single month. If you're curious to learn more about the modular monthly series, there's a link below in the description of this video. All right, let's get started building this patch. All right, so the program that I'm using to create this patch is called VCV Rack. It is a really wonderful modular synth software that runs on your computer, and it emulates the sound and the workflow of hardware modular synthesizers. I teach with VCV Rack in all of my modular synthesis and sound design classes, and I think it's a really incredible tool, not only for getting started with modular synthesis, but honestly just for working with modular synths in general. So if you're new to VCV Rack, you can download it by clicking on Available Now, and then Get Rack 2. And you can choose between the free version or the pro version, but for this patch, all you need is the free version. So when you download VCV Rack, it will come with the fundamental library already installed and ready to use. But for the patch that I'm showing you today, we're going to need to download a couple of additional libraries. We'll do that by clicking here on Library. So the first module that I'll grab here is called Simpliciter, made by Nicely. I already have this module installed, but if you're seeing this for the first time, this should say Add instead of Remove. You can click on it, and then it will prompt you to set up or log into your VCV account. And from there, you can get the module installed. There are two other modules that we need here. Both of them can be found in the Bog audio library. One of them is called Follow, which is an envelope follower, and the other is called Edge. I'll explain how to use all of these modules later on in this video, but for now, we'll go ahead and get them installed. All right, so let's start building this glitch sampler patch together. So I have here on the screen kind of the core of the patch. First, I have an Audio 8 module here, and I have selected my audio interface. This is what's going to allow my microphone input to get into VCV Rack. And then I have a scope on the screen here just so that we can visualize the signals and make sure that everything's working as expected. So on this Audio 8 module here, these top 8 jacks are going to the audio device, meaning if I wanted to send something out to my speakers, I would patch them into these top jacks here. If I want to receive a signal from my audio interface, I'll use the bottom 8 jacks. So my microphone is plugged into the first input on my audio interface, so I'm going to patch from here into the scope just to verify that we are, in fact, getting the audio in, and it looks like we are. Awesome. The next module that I have here is the Simpliciter module made by Nicely, and this is a tape music inspired sampler that allows you to either load an audio file directly in, or you can record audio into its inputs. Once it's recorded, you can change the speed and direction of the playback, and you can also chop the audio up into many different slices or grains and jump between them. And there's also an internal modulation section, which is pretty cool. But for now, we're going to keep things really simple, and I'm just going to run my microphone into the input on the Simpliciter. Okay, moving along here, we're going to take the outputs from the Simpliciter module and run those into this mixer. And I have this here basically just as an end of chain volume control. And then the mix output here is going into a second Audio 8 module. Now I will mention that you're not always going to need to use separate Audio 8 modules here in VCV Rack. I'm just doing this because I'm using two different audio interfaces. One to get my sound into the computer, and another to allow me to record my sound for this video. Okay, so if I turn this level up here, we should hear the mic pass through VCV Rack. Check, check, hello, hello, hello. Awesome, so that seems like it's working well. So if we want to record some of our audio into the Simpliciter, all we have to do is hit this record button when we want to start recording, and then hit it again when we are done. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, 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 hello.
Hello, 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 Hello.
There are some sound-on-sound controls here that you can turn on or off depending on whether or not you want new recordings to layer on top of your old recording or to replace them. I prefer to turn this off here so that each new recording comes in and replaces whatever was previously in the buffer. So for example, if I want to record again, da 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 da, I will have that now. Awesome. So I'm not going to go into a ton of depth here about all the features on this module, but another area that is really relevant to the patch that we're building is this section over here. So you can click this little button here under the word grid, and that turns on a grid, which basically allows you to divide this buffer into multiple sections. You can click on this number and drag up to increase how many divisions are in the grid. And then you can use this select slice knob to essentially scrub through the buffer and choose different slices. So I'll turn the volume up here again so that you can hear what this sounds like. Okay, awesome. So we've got our mic input running into the Simpliciter module. We're able to record it, and then once it's recorded, we can manipulate that sample in a lot of cool ways. So what we have here is already pretty awesome in my opinion, but let's add a little bit of variation to the sampled sound. So far, everything that we're doing is happening manually, right, by turning knobs, but we also could modulate any of these parameters that are available to us here on this module. So I'm going to grab a random voltage module here. This is just the basic random CV generator inside the VCV Rack fundamental library. And I want to take some random voltages to modulate different parameters on the Simpliciter. So I'll use a smooth random voltage to modulate the varispeed control. And of course, you can play around with your modulation sources and the modulation depth. And I think I'll also take a stepped random voltage and use that to randomly choose a new splice for us. Awesome. So this random voltage generator has a built-in clock rate here, so you can determine how quickly or how slowly new random voltages are produced by moving this slider here. But something that I really like to do in my patching is to create a layer of interactivity between the external microphone input and the sampled sound. So instead of the modulation happening all on its own, for example, as it is here, I find it super rewarding to create a tight relationship between the external gestures that are being captured from the microphone and the resulting modulation. And one of my favorite ways of doing that is to use an envelope follower combined with a comparator to essentially detect the onset of new sounds and new notes at the microphone. Really quick, before we move forward, I want to take a sec to tell you about my online class, Learning Sound and Synthesis. Learning Sound and Synthesis is a super comprehensive and step-by-step program that teaches you everything you need to make music with modular synthesizers, to design your own sounds from scratch, and to turn your synth sounds and patches into complete compositions and performances. Whether you want to make ambient soundscapes, melodic generative music, synth pop, techno, noisy, chaotic sci-fi sounds, or anything in between. When you join Learning Sound and Synthesis, you'll also get access to an incredibly supportive community of people who, just like you, are super passionate about electronic music and modular synths. And you'll also be able to get personalized support and feedback on your music. I typically offer Learning Sound and Synthesis 1 to 2 times per year. You can learn more and join the waitlist for the next round by going to soundandsynthesis.com/waitlist. Learning synth and synthesis. So I'm just going to move the scope over here to the left for now, and we're going to go ahead and grab 2 more modules. These are both from the Bog Audio Library. The first one is the Follow module, and the second one is the Edge module. So the Follow module is an envelope follower. And the way it works is that you send a signal into its input, and then it produces a signal that essentially follows the overall loudness of the incoming signal. So you can see here, as I talk into the microphone, you can see both the audio waveform and you can see this red signal that's being created from the Follow module. And that red signal is tracking the loudness of my voice. So if my voice swells in, like that, you see that red signal swell in as well. And if I make shorter, more articulate sounds, you can see that that signal follows that dynamic contour as well. So this is really cool because this signal that is created here at the envelope follower output can be used as a modulation signal anywhere in your patch. You could use it to modulate the speed of the sample playback or to scrub through the slices, for example, and so on. For now, I'm not going to actually use the envelope follower signal as a modulation signal directly. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run it into this second module here called Edge. This Edge module allows you to essentially derive gates and triggers from a continuous signal by setting a rising and falling threshold. So in other words, my signal here from the envelope follower is going in to the signal input. And then when that signal goes above and below the threshold that I have set here, it's going to create a gate at this high gate output. So let's go ahead and visualize that now. I'm just going to replace this signal here. Okay, so you can see that as I'm talking and the loudness of my voice is going above this threshold that I have dialed in here, there's a gate signal that goes high. And that signal stays high for as long as my voice is above that threshold. And then when I am quiet again, the gate goes low. So this is a really, really useful way to create essentially like a timing source or an onset detection that is derived from an external microphone input. So now what we can do is patch from this high gate output into our simpliciter module to tell it when to start and stop recording so that we don't have to push this record button. I'm also going to send that same gate output into the trigger input here on my random voltage module so that this random module only creates new random voltages when it receives a gate from the Edge module. Okay, let's turn up the level here and see what we've done. Hello. Yes, that seems like it's working. Okay. Yep. That's pretty cool. Yep. One other little note here, there is this transient smoother control built into Simpliciter. So if you're noticing as you're looping samples that there's a little bit of a click at the beginning or the end, you can try turning that up and it should smooth things out a little. Okay, so there's just one other element that I want to add into this patch, which is a delay. And instead of putting the delay at the end of the signal chain, I actually want to put it before the sampler. So what I'm going to do is remove my signal from the input of Simpliciter. This is coming from my microphone. I'm going to run it into the delay first, and then I'm going to take the mix of my dry voice and the delayed signal, and I'm going to run that into the sampler. And I'm going to take a copy of this delayed signal and run it into the second channel of my mixer as well. Oh, I just noticed here that I have this extra cable coming from the right output from Simpliciter into the second channel of my mixer, but that's not really doing anything because I'm only recording this signal here in mono, so I can remove that. And now I'm going to take this output from my delay and run that into the second channel here. So basically what we're going to get here is in channel 1, I will have the glitched sampled vocal sound from my microphone. And then in channel 2, I'm going to have my microphone just through the delay. So this is a cool way to have one incoming sound source and create some different layers with it by processing it in 2 different ways. Now, the last thing that I want to do here is modulate the delay. And I think that this is a perfect time to use the signal coming from the follow module. So I'm going to take the envelope follower output signal here, and I'm going to run that into the time modulation input on my delay. I'm going to turn this to the left. And what that's going to mean is that as I get louder into the microphone, the delay time is going to get shorter. Okay, let's see how that sounds. There are, of course, lots of different ways that you can expand this out even further. It could be really interesting to modulate other parameters of the sampler, for example, or of the delay. It could also be really interesting to add an envelope onto these sounds and create some different articulation that way. And of course, don't forget that even though I'm demoing this here using my voice into a microphone, this will work with any external instrument that you want to use. All right, that's it for today. I hope you found this video helpful. Just a reminder that there's a link to join my Modular Monthly series if you're interested in receiving a new VCV Rack patch every month by email that you can download and open up and learn from. Each patch that I send also includes some notes and tips for how to interact with it and get the most out of it. And finally, if you're a complete beginner in the world of modular synths and sound design, and you're looking for a little bit of help to get up and running, I'll leave a link in the description to a free mini course that I put together that walks you through the basics of modular synthesis, how to get up and running in VCV Rack, and how to build your first few patches from scratch. Let me know in the comments below if you like this tutorial format for videos, and also, of course, if you have any questions about anything I shared here today. That's it for now. As always, thank you so much for watching and for listening, and I'll see you next time.